What's up, Rad Dads? Welcome back to another episode of the Rad Dads podcast, hosted by none other than the two raddest dads on the East Coast. In studio tonight is myself and Rob, and we also have a special guest, Kern Carter. Kern is an ambitious father who is also a full-time author and the founder of CryCreativeGroup, whose goal is to create and motivate a network of aspiring authors united by the strength of openness and imagination. Kern has written 5 novels, 3 of which are out now and 2 to be published in the near future. Cry is Kern's creative business brand, which also includes Cry Magazine, Cry Productions, and Cry Academy. Kern is also voted top 6 Black Canadian writer to watch. So look out. Kern, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and I love that intro. And your lookout is right. I love that.
All right, I want to apologize. Kern's being really cool about this. We just recorded for about 5 minutes and nothing got actually recorded. So, Kern, we apologize. We just like talking to you that much. We wanted to do it again.
We're good. I love talking about this. So you're talking about my 2 favorite things, which is parenting and publishing, basically. So we're good.
Awesome. So, Kern, is there anything else that I didn't cover in that opening that you would like to share with our audience?
Nope, you got everything right, especially I love that last part too because I worked for it. The part about being one of the 6 Black authors to look out for in Canada, like that one's big. That one felt really good for me. Because that's like it's almost like you said look out, like that feels like that. Like look out, like look who's coming. And I've really wanted that kind of momentum for a long time. So that one felt good. And that one just
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, it's like number 6 in Canada. So there's a lot of people in Canada. That's a tremendous accomplishment, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. That one felt good.
I will say, Kern, I too am a writer, not to your caliber by any means, but I know what the writing process takes, and it's an incredible amount of dedication. Losing your hair, it's like hair pulling out. You plot out a book, and then you get to the end, and you're like, "That doesn't work. I need to fix it." Or you go through your first edit, and you're like, "Man, these 3 chapters, I just don't like it, or I don't like the voice in this. I got to re-edit it." How do you possibly balance it with being a teenage dad, with having a young daughter? How do you do it? It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, thank you. You know what? Time management is one of the most underestimated skill I think that writers or people, probably entrepreneurs need. Like being able to manage your time is a real skill. I woke up, and for a very long time I did this for years. I woke up at 5 o'clock every single morning, and that's when I would do my writing. So from 5 till about 8, I would just write, and then I would handle my business during the day, deal with my daughter, do whatever. Back in the day when I had like other jobs, do those other jobs and stuff like that, and then come back home and write again. So I really structured my days in a way that made sense and in a way that prioritized writing. No matter what, no, I don't care what job I had, I don't care what was happening in my life. I woke up every single morning, had a cup of water, and I wrote for at least 2 to 3 hours. And then as I got closer to where I was, and I didn't have to do any of the odd jobs, then I started writing for 4 or 5 hours. So it's just really a time management thing. And it's also, you started off this podcast by saying ambitious. It's an ambition thing. I want to be the best writer ever for myself. It's not even a competition thing. I want to be the best writer in the world for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to look at myself and be like, yeah, Kern, like, you are definitely the best. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I want to feel. So, it's an ambition thing too. And when you're driven and when it's part of who you are, like writing is part of who I am, I feel like it's kind of I just do it at all costs.
So, Kern, how many kids do you have, and what are their ages?
One grown 20-year-old daughter is what I have, but I feel like having one 20-year-old is like having 4 or 5 kids. So I don't know what's worse.
Well, I mean, you don't look that old, so you're fairly young. So you're a teenage father.
Yes, yes, I had my daughter. I found out I was going to be a parent when I was 18, and I had her a week after I turned 19. So it's been a long 20 years. And again, the first 10, 12 years were rough. It was really tough. It was hard, not really having any money. falling out with my parents, like my mom, I should say, just like she was not happy about the situation. I was also an amazing basketball player in high school, so I was like one of the top basketball players in Canada. I lost all my scholarship offers, which was rough because I loved basketball, still love basketball, but I really love basketball. So it was really hard kind of not having an identity and not really knowing what to do when I found out that I was about to have a kid. But I mean, I'm here now. You know what I mean? I'm here now, and we got through the rough parts, and I feel like our life has been beautiful for the past 6, 7 years or so.
So let me ask you this: would you have changed that journey, any part of that journey that you traveled to this point where you are today?
Yeah, and that is the question, because part of me does feel like I would not change a thing because of where I am. I mean, I am where I wanted to be, and I'm getting closer to where ultimately I want to be. I'm still not there yet, but there's because it was so hard, especially early on. There's also a part of me that's just like, I wish I did a couple of things different, But I think maybe a lot of people say that. A lot of parents and people in general probably go through that on reflection. So maybe I, I wouldn't change anything, but there are some things I regret. I'll probably put it like that.
I know. It's human nature. There's certain things that we would look back and try and change, but I think ultimately, we are where we're supposed to be at all times, and the path that we chose, and the tough journey that we were on, I think makes us the person that we are today, makes us as strong as we are today. Um, and the challenges that we face daily, those are just, challenges and obstacles to make us stronger.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And when you're speaking about the challenges and thinking about all the stuff that I went through, I turned around and put all of that into my books. So the fact that um, I struggled so much with my daughter when she was younger and when we were both younger, it really actually became the motivation and the inspiration actually for a lot of the stories that I tell. A lot of the stories I tell are kind of centered around young people, the teenagers, teenage life, the way teenagers think. All of that kind of helped inspire stories for my daughter around the situations of my daughter being kind of growing up as a teenage parent. And a lot of the books I write are YA books. Like my first book is called Thoughts of a Fractured Soul. That book is directly about my life, even though it's fictional. Beauty Scars, another one about teenagers, boys and girls screaming about teenagers. Like it's not an accident that I write these books. That time in my life was really tumultuous. So I just have this like I have so much content from that time, and a lot of it obviously is because I went through what I went through. So you're right. I wouldn't change anything.
I was just about to ask you what genre your books are in because I looked them up and it seemed like YA. Is that what you go for? Is YA primarily?
Yeah, but it's interesting. I never considered myself a YA writer until I became published. I was just writing books and telling the stories because that time in my life, I just had so much to talk about, right? So I was just writing books, but when I got signed, then it becomes like a marketing thing. So it's like, oh, what genre of book are you going to write? So really, my agent pushed me to that, and I accepted. My agent's like, you tell young adult stories, or you write teenagers really well. You should really focus on that. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, you write really young adult really well. So once he said that, it really kind of helped me focus a little bit on my writings. And we got two published. Well, we got three publishing deals in total, but we got two with Penguin and Scholastic when he told me that, and that's when we got even more intentional about really writing young adult books.
That's awesome. Are your books solo books or part of a trilogy or?
All solo books, but I'm actually working on a series right now. So the book I'm writing for Scholastic is called "Is There a Boy Like Me?" I'm going to turn that one into a series. I'm pretty sure. I'm working on the second part of it now. I think I'm going to call it Rivalry. But yeah, I'm going to turn that into a series. All the other books have been solo.
Nice. I'm going to geek out right now because obviously I've been in this little writing industry and I haven't been successful as you have. But one of the things that always is very difficult for writers is really getting, doing your query letters and getting an agent. How are you able to accomplish that?
Oh my gosh, you asked like the hardest question. The writing a query, let me tell you, I'm the most confident writer that you're going to meet. I cannot write queries. Queries are so hard to write. I'm taking classes, everything. They're impossible. So I'm gonna be really honest right now, and this is gonna suck for other writers, but ah, I didn't get my agent through querying. I got my
That's awesome.
agent through networking.
That's
So
awesome.
I had two agents. So the first agent I got was because I would go to a lot of book launches in Toronto. So I go like just a lot. I just go, and I went to one that I saw I'd see the same people, the same person throwing it, and one of the event planners came up to me. She's like, "I see you a lot. Tell me about yourself." And I was telling her about myself, and she's like, "Oh, you should have an agent." I'm like, "I know, I should have an agent." She's like, "I'm gonna hook you up," and she hooked me up with like she introduced me to another agent. That agent became my agent.
That's
So that
awesome.
didn't work out. So that like there's a story behind that, but that one didn't work out. We ended amicably, but it didn't work out. My second agent happened when I had written a parenting piece, actually, and it got picked up by I think Fatherly. It got picked up by Fatherly, and so it went pretty viral. And then CBC is a national TV station broadcaster here in Canada. CBC read that piece and they wanted to interview me. So they interviewed me, put it on the radio. My agent heard the interview and messaged me. So that's how I got my second agent, who's my agent right now. So I didn't have to query any of them. But hold on, just so writers aren't like, oh my gosh, this is craziness. You do have to query publishers still. That's something that, like, just really quickly on the nerd out part, I'm just gonna talk
Yeah.
about this quick. You have to query publishers. So even when you have an agent and you're pitching your book to the publisher now, and your agent is doing that on your behalf, um, just because one editor from a publisher likes your book, that doesn't mean you have a book deal yet. That editor has to take the book and present it to the full team. So present it to like a team of marketers, other publishers, and blah blah blah. When they do that, they ask you to actually create a proposal, which is like a query, which is basically has all the same elements: why you should write it, what's your book about, blah 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 blah. And they have to pitch that, and they have to convince their team to purchase the book. So I did have to query for that. And that part was difficult. My agent helped me out a lot with that, but I did write that. I wrote those, and those queries helped me get my two publishing deals with Penguin and Scholastic.
So
That's awesome.
I have two questions. As you guys geeked out on writing, right? So one I know YA I figured out was young adult, right? And for everyone else out there that's not a writer, like myself, what is a query letter?
Okay, yeah. Oh, crap. Yes, you're right. Okay. A query letter is basically a summary of your book. That is the quickest
Okay.
way I could
That's the
explain
worst thing
it.
to
Because,
write.
like, if you're pitching to an agent, they're not going to read your they don't have time to read a full manuscript. So, how can you summarize the best points of your book in a page, essentially?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Because I'm sitting here saying, what the hell's a query letter?
The best
Oh,
part is
good.
when you send 20 of those out and you get 20 rejections or 15 rejections and
20
five no
straight,
responses.
straight, all rejections. If you're a writer, you're going to get multiple. I saved all of them.
I was so mad. I literally stopped writing. I have two books, two novels I've written. But I go back every time I go back and start editing. Like it's funny. I have a freaking pamphlet of edited chapters sitting right here. So I'm like, you're telling me this. I'm like, I get it. I get what you're like. I love that you're much more dedicated. Like I focused on my career and like kind of put writing on the back burner, but I do the same thing. I wake up at 5, put it in an hour before the kids are up. Even if I'm just editing, I love it. I completely relate to what you're doing.
I love it. I love it.
So, Kern, what was the inspiration behind your latest book, Boys and Girls Screaming?
Yeah, I'm first of all, I'm just like there's not usually a single thing that inspires me. I feel like I'm always inspired. I have so many stories to tell, um, kind of kind of based on observation, based on my experiences growing up. I have a lot of stories to tell. But I will say though, there was something that inspired the characters in this book, and it was a story. It's one of my friends used to work at a foster home, and this one kid came into the foster home, and he's like, "Oh, I want to call my mom. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be here. I want to call my mom." And they're like, "Okay, call your mom, and if she picks you up, you can go." So the boy called his mom, and he's like, "Mom, they said if you pick me up right now that I could go home. I don't have to stay here." And she's like, "No, stay." Um, and that was just like that. I just, I don't know. That story
Wow,
really
that's
stuck,
got to be devastating.
devastating.
Oh,
Imagine that. And this kid was like 15 at the time.
oh my
So
God.
that stuck with me forever. And then and this happened. So that story he told me years before I actually started writing the book. But when I started writing it, I remembered that story, and it stuck with me. So the character, one of the main characters, her name is Candace, and Candace has a very harsh separation with her mother at the very beginning of the book, where her mom leaves, like literally just walks out the door, walks out the house when Candace is still only 5 years old. And the mom obviously has some mental health issues, but she walks out. And I took that from, again, the harsh separation of a child calling his mom and being like, hey, I want to come. And you're like, no. I'm like, how can I replicate that? And just really from the beginning, give readers that, oh, like that gut feeling, like how your people can't see your face, but the way your face was when you're like,
Oh my
oh my
God,
gosh. I
yeah.
was like, no. Like, I wanted that. That's what I wanted. I want people to be like, oh my gosh, her mom just walked out on this 5-year-old kid. I wanted that, and it set the tone for the entire novel, which does talk a lot about, in a very, not over, like it's not hitting you over the head, but it does touch on mental health. It does touch on a bunch of other stuff, and the book is kind of centered on mental health, although it's a YA book. But yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for the characters, and then the inspiration for the story is just me being imaginative.
I'm laughing. Sal wrote this question. What is your favorite part of the writing process?
My favorite part, my favorite part of the writing process. Oh boy, probably, there's a moment, there's two things. When I first figure out the exact story I want to tell, like because I don't get to the laptop and start going crazy with writing until I know in my mind what I'm writing. Like I'm not someone that's gonna go to a blank screen and be like, oh, what am I gonna write today? I need to have it in my head. That's how I am. So it actually takes me about close to a year of just like cataloging notes and observing things and writing down points and then being like, okay, let's go. I'm ready to write the story. So that's a beautiful part of writing for me. But the other part is um you get into a flow, and you probably understand this, Rob. You get into a flow of writing when you're writing novels, and then it feels like the characters are writing the story for you, and you're not even writing it. You know, like exactly how these characters are going to react, and you would be trying to write something, and the character's like, "No, I would never do that." Like you almost feel that part. When you get there, and the characters are just so in you that they're writing the story, it is this really surreal feeling that's just like you know them so well, you're inside their head. It's magical. I absolutely love that because then it's just the stories you're in a good direction. The story's going to be beautiful.
That is pretty cool. I can only imagine what that feeling is like, where essentially the characters come to life and
Yeah,
are writing their own, writing their own part in the story. That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
That's pretty. It's almost like because I played basketball. It's almost like when you're in the zone a little bit. Like if you're a sports
Sure.
person, when you're in the zone, it just feels like the rim is big and everything's going in slow motion. It's very similar to that. It's the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, you're just flowing. So, what message or theme do you hope your readers will take away from your books?
Um, my books deal a lot with family and friendship. So to me, and community, to me, those things are really important. And without family, friendship, community, and support, I feel like, let me not say it like that. I feel like family, community, friendship, and support are really essential, especially today, are really essential. You could get really lost on this online world, right? Like you could go down, like I love it, but you could get lost and you could feel really disconnected from things and you could have a really odd perception of what life is supposed to be like. To me, the most still, I don't from civilization started, the most important structure was the family structure. And I include community and friendship in family structure. So when I say family, I mean community and friendship as well. Those things are important and valuable. And the further we deteriorate from that, I think it's not doing us any favors. Let's just put it like that. That's the lightest way I could put it. So I think when people read my books, I want them to feel like they like the community aspect of life and the friendships especially, they realize how important that is to actually existing. You know what I mean? And living thriving lives. Like, and we don't get so caught up again. And you're talking to someone who's ambitious. So like, I want to make money. I want to do all these things. I want to have success. Wonderful. But it would not mean as much if I'm doing all these things without community, without family, without friendship, without those that balance in my life. it doesn't even mean anything, right? And when I think about like going back to my own daughter, if I did not have the support of my mom, who eventually just got over getting angry at me, if I didn't have the support of my mom, my brothers, my uncle, my aunt, my younger brother, even my younger brother would help me out a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was, imagine I was 19, he was like 16 years old and helping me out a lot. So I had a community really raise my daughter. I had a community help me out with that. And I grew up in a big family, you know. So for me, it's essential. And when I write my books, especially Boys and Girls Screaming, it's really about the power of community and the power of friendship to help get people through. And I hope people catch that in all my stories.
That is 100% important. Is the power of family, the power of friendship, the power of community. It is way too often where kids just get lost in the internet and watching TV shows. They think that what they see on TV is how a family should really be on, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
One of my daughters actually asked me about that. I said, this is someone writing. This is scripted. This is not real. This is fake. She asked me this, 5, 6 years ago, and yeah, I kept drilling that into her head because I saw her getting more. Oh my God, this is pretty cool, and this is I think our family should be like. I said somebody's taking a pen and paper and writing down everything that these people should be saying. So this is fake.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you told her that because they need to know that. They absolutely 1,000,000% need to know that. Like this is us imagining, writers imagining, TV and producers and directors imagining. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not however people write it. I don't care how good you are. It is still imagining. It is not what it's like in the real world. There's no way to replicate the day-to-day life of a family in the real world. Zero. Absolutely zero. You have to live it. You know what I mean? And that means going through the rough stuff. That means going through the arguments and the disagreements. And that means me as a father telling you stuff you don't like, and you still have to do it. Sorry, you still have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Oh
just
yeah.
like you have to do that. But if you didn't tell your daughter that, then she would not have that understanding. You know what I'm saying? They would think that no, this stuff I watch on YouTube and TikTok and TV is what it's supposed to be like, and it's not. So that's why I said I'm so happy you tell your kids that because it's important.
Over the summer, or this summer, last summer, I think it was 2 summers ago, whenever it was. There were these bunch of boys that they were watching on YouTube, their brothers, and they're like, "Oh my God, mansions, these fancy cars," and I said, "That is all just to keep you entertained. Those are probably rented cars. That's
Rental,
probably a
yeah,
rented house.
yeah.
They need to keep their viewers. Oh my God, what's the next thing you're gonna do? It's all and it took a while for her to really understand that all that stuff was fake and it wasn't true. And I told, and now they're 11, 12, and 13. I said, look, it's content. That's what you
Hmm.
have to do. You got to content. If you don't have content, if you don't have something interesting, people aren't going to watch the show. So that's what they're doing. They're getting people interested. They want to know what the next trick is or the next flashy thing is going to be.
You know what, too, though? I think we're just understanding how to manage our kids and the internet because we never had, like, there's no, like, when did we have to do that, right? Like, our parents didn't have to tell us about the internet. Not for real, anyway, right? Like, it was just getting started. You weren't addicted to the internet back then.
AOL.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's if you could connect.
If you could get it to connect, exactly. So it wasn't a thing like that for us. So I think we're learning how to parent it. Hopefully our kids will be better if they grow up and have their kids as well. They'll probably be better at it. But I think we're just learning. And then the other side of it, the kids are just learning how to um, conduct themselves and how to interpret the stuff that's coming from the internet. Like how because if they didn't have parents like you to say, "Hey, no, this is fake," and blah blah, then they start getting to their own assumptions, and that's dangerous. That's why I said family, friendship, and community is important. You need people to hold them in check and realize like, hey, this is called entertainment. Just like you watch a cartoon, it's pretty much the exact same thing. So you have to like, but I think we're just learning to do that, and the kids are just learning to do that. This is my optimistic view of people in the world. Like, I hope we're just learning, and that we'll actually do a lot better. Because right now, in my view, I don't think we're doing a great job. Meaning, like society in general, both the kids just like understanding like what they're looking at and how to actually interpret that, and then parents just figuring out how to be more active and take a role in participating in how their kids actually view and participate on the internet. Like we have to be. I didn't even have to go through that with my daughter, to be completely real. She was born in 2002, so I a little bit, but not really. So yeah, it's a different era now.
It's much different. I think if you see probably preteen, 11, 12, and teenagers, you see them walking down the street, you'll see them with their phone in their hand and looking down at it 100% all the time.
100%.
My son comes home and I go, "What are you doing?" Looking at my phone. Okay, give me your phone. You've now lost it. Every time I see him and he's on his phone, he's like, "Dad, why have you taken my phone away from me?" I was like, "Because this isn't in your phone. This is the real world. Your phone and what your friends are all putting on Snapchat, no one gives a crap about." I was like, "It may mean something to you right now." I said, "But you go from Snapchat to YouTube to texting your friends, and then like it's a circular." I was like, "And we only give you 30 minutes a day. So the fact that you can't take your eyes off your phone is absolutely ridiculous to me."
Yeah. How did you come? Sorry, I know you guys are asking questions, but how did you come up with the 30 minutes a day thing? Like, because I'm curious about how parents handle their kids today.
Because we felt that anything more than that on social media was a little bit too much for an 11-year-old. So and we really limited. It's like 30 minutes across all applications. And what we've noticed is that Snapchat's really where a lot of the kids are. And there's a lot of stuff on Snapchat that I don't really like. I never used Snapchat until my son was on it. And now I just have it to monitor what he's doing. And I can't even do a good job of that because it all disappears in 24 hours. So it's really hard unless you're constantly monitoring it. But we allow texting and calls unlimited. And, some of his friends only use Snapchat for communication. And then others are on, will text. But it's kind of back and forth depending on the kids group. But we felt anything more than 30 minutes, he would just get absorbed into it.
Got you. Okay. Makes sense.
See, my kids don't have Snapchat, so it's easy for me.
You just cut it out. You just said, forget it.
They have no social media. They can text with their friends, and they listen to music on Spotify, and they have YouTube. They watch 5-minute crafts and whatever other crap. But they don't have Facebook. They don't have Instagram. They don't have Snapchat. They don't have any of that stuff.
Wow.
Am I doing them a disservice? I don't know. Do their
I don't
friends?
think so. No. Why would you think that?
Because I know their friends probably talk about it in school. Oh, did you see
true.
this on Facebook, or did you see that on Instagram, and blah blah blah. So you're kind of, I'm essentially isolating them from their friends because they're not in the know, with what's going on Instagram. But you know what? I think we're doing a good job in protecting them from the for lack of a better term, shit on social media.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that. I would probably be on the Rob side, probably on the 30-minute side if my daughter was around that age. But yeah, it would be restricted for sure. There is no way I'm letting them go hours on it. That's so wild to me. Like I don't even want to be on the internet for hours. So no, it's not happening.
Yeah, I agree. So do you have a favorite quote or line from your latest book? Or what is your favorite quote or line from any of your books?
Yeah, from Thoughts of a Fractured Soul, it's the very first beginning, the very first line. It starts off, "I've been here before," and it's really supposed to be an allusion to. Well, it's actually speaking in the paragraph. It speaks directly to the fact that he's immigrating from one country to the next, and his mom had actually gone to the country before with him in her belly. So he's saying, "I've been here before," in that. So it's a literal sense. But then he's saying, "I've been here before," meaning that he's in Thoughts of a Fractured Soul. He keeps making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. So it's like an allusion to him being like his life going in circles. So I love that line because it's basically the entire story in one line. So I love that for Thoughts of a Fractured Soul. Beauty Scars, the same thing. Like the first line is, I take a lot of time with my first lines, so that's probably why I love them. The first line of Beauty Scars is, "An accident made me beautiful," and I love that line for so many different reasons. She literally gets into an accident, and the accident does make her more beautiful, and you wonder throughout the entire book if it's all in her mind or not. So I love that part of it. And then Boys and Girls Screaming. It's not a line, but there's a point. There's 2 points. There's a part where where Jericho, who's one of the main characters, he's the main character's younger brother. When you're first introduced to him, he talks about how he got his name and how Ever got her name, who's a sister, and he said that because his name is Jericho, and which is it has like biblical connotation, and then Ever meaning forever. So I think the line is something like, in our names alone, our mother created like some kind of epic fantasy or something like that. Like it's just like this beautiful line about that. And then the other part is in Boys and Girls Screaming as well, where Ever's mom has a stroke, and before she had a stroke, she was a fun-loving person who would just take them on, throw them in the back of the car, and they'll be gone for 2 days. Like she was super hippie, adventurous. And then the stroke took all that away. So Ever's looking at her on the chair, sitting down, and she's like, "This is 6 months past the stroke, so she should be getting better," and she's not. And she's like, she writes all the instructions of what she wants her kids to do on this small little whiteboard, and she gives it to them, and she flips it around, and they have to read it and like, go get me some juice or go make this. But so she's about to ever sees her mom doing that, and she walks up to her, grabs it, brings it outside, puts it behind the car, and drives over the whiteboard, and then breaks it in like 20 pieces, and then walks back inside and says, if you want us to do something for you, go outside and go get it. Like I love that scene. So yeah, I'll
Wow.
say
That's awesome.
yeah.
So I'm going to go into the rapid fire round. Interesting enough, it's not really rapid fire. I mean, we call it rapid fire. But so, Sal, I can't believe you really did this. So, favorite book?
Favorite book, Beloved by Toni Morrison.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Whew. I'm going to say Dark Knight because I just saw it yesterday, but I'm going to say this one too because this is weird. But every time Pretty Woman comes on, I feel like I have to watch it. I have this weird obsession with Pretty Woman, so Pretty Woman is a close two.
Favorite food?
Macaroni pie.
Favorite sport?
Basketball.
Favorite sports team?
Raptors.
A favorite dad moment?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one. Favorite dad moment. When my daughter, she was supposed to go to university and she got accepted to university, but she didn't want to go. I didn't know this. I finding this out after. She didn't want to go. So what she did was she went and applied to a local college in Toronto, got accepted into the program that she wanted to get accepted into, and then told me afterwards. So that all I had to do was pay the tuition. So she did all the work on her own. But for her, it was such a big deal. And she was nervous telling me because she thought I'd be upset. But I was actually proud that she went and did something that she wanted to do on her own terms. And she went to school for what she wanted to go to school for. And now she does that for a career. So I love that.
That's awesome. Favorite vacation spot?
Ooh, I just went to Curacao and I loved it. So I'm going to say Curacao.
Nice. Best dad joke?
I've been thinking about this all episode. I still have absolutely no dad joke. I don't know if I know one dad joke. Oh my god! And my daughter thinks I'm not funny, so you're just gonna prove her point with this one. Dad joke. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to plead the fifth on this one. I have no idea.
All right,
what's dad joke.
It's all right. There's plenty of people. So I want to go back to one thing. So the vacation spot. Do you see when you go on vacation? Does it inspire you?
Yeah. It just
Right?
it's just a whole different energy. Oh my gosh, it's a whole different energy. Curacao especially was just it was vibes. I just also went to Puerto Rico. Woo, that was great too. So like it just puts me in a whole different zone because it's just the energy, the people, the views, what it looks like, what it smells
Exactly.
like. Whole different vibe. It's
All
just
right. So I'm not published, but people think I'm nuts. I bring a bag just for my writing shit. Like I have my edited chapters. I bring my laptop. I always have to bring my work laptop, but I bring my personal laptop so I can write and take notes. And I was like, "What are you doing? You're not gonna have time for that." I was like, "Oh, I will have time. I'll sit on the balcony. I will make time. I will outline some stuff." And you want to hear the craziest part? I've said this before on previous episodes. On our honeymoon, we were in Venice. We would walk around all morning in Venice. My wife would be like, "I'm exhausted." I would sit outside, drink like 5 espressos, and just start outlining different chapters,
Oh my
different
God.
ideas. Like That's
love it.
I don't even care if I ever get published. I love the writing process.
I
So
love
yeah, I would
that.
love to get published, but the process for me of like me telling my story, even if I'm telling it to no one, is great.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I love that too. I'm like that too. I'm bringing my laptop. I'm writing everywhere. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I got a little small book too that I carry around in my pocket. I'm writing. So, yeah, I'm with you.
All right.
I'm with you.
So Rob is a very secretive writer because this is our 4th season, and I have yet to see any of his writings.
Yeah, because they ain't that
I
good.
do see his blue folder with all his papers in it.
Dude, listen, look at all this strike through. And this is like third edit. Like all this shit's all striked out.
It sounded good yesterday, but sounds like crap today.
Listen, Kern's gonna think I'm crazy. I changed the point of view. I went from first to third, and I completely rewrote a book because I didn't like how it.
Oh my gosh, that is nuts.
Yeah, it just didn't sit right. Like the whole point. So my one book's called The Druid Prince, and it's based on this kid being selected into this very magical school, but I had it as first person. And I was like, it doesn't tell the story the way I wanted it to be told. So I had to add in different points of view. So I moved it from first to third, but it's getting to where I want to go. Now I'm like, all right, I got to X some of these characters out because they're like, I'm nuts, man.
That, my friend, is writing. That's how it goes.
And I love it. I'm just such a geek about it. I don't even care.
So Kern, where can our audience find you, and where can they buy your books?
KernCarter.com for everything. If you just go there, all my books are on there. Everything I do about with Cry is on there. So yeah, I would go to KernCarter.com, start there. And then if you're just looking for social, my name is Kern Carter on all social. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, doesn't matter. It's Kern Carter.
So that's Kern, Kern, Carter, CARTER.com. So guys, gals, make sure you go out and check Kern's website. That's KernCarter.com. Sign up for his newsletter and buy his books, Boys and Girls Screaming, Thoughts of a Fractured Soul, and Beauty Scars. Kern, it was a pleasure having you on. It was a pleasure meeting and chatting with you. You are such an inspiration for those new authors out there. For Rob, I know once I leave tonight, he's going to get back into his his edits and try and straighten his stuff out. But ambitious father, you are ambitious father. Just tremendous. Thank you, and it was a pleasure meeting you. And thanks for coming on.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun, and I had a great time, and I hope your audience loves it and enjoys it as well. Thank you.